Hey everyone, finished watching the next episode of Beetleborgs, Headless over Heels. Drew's crush on Heather comes back. Knockoff Van and Trip run into Zoom Comics and scream about seeing a giant horse in the woods. The kids go to check it out. In the woods, they find the Headless Horseman. They manage to avoid him by bugging out. They're sure he's been sent by the bad guys, and they go to warn Flabber. Vylor and Arabelle see the horseman, but they don't recognize him. The horseman goes into Hillhurst and tries to steal the monster's heads. The kids come in and the horseman relaxes and tries to communicate with them. Wolfie admits he has his head. Fangula translates his story. Back in the old country, Wolfie met the horseman. The horseman sneezed and his head fell off. Wolfie then took it for some reason. The monsters look around for the head, but it's missing. The horseman goes crazy and attacks the monsters. Nukas, meanwhile, thinks the horseman is a threat and prepares to battle him. At Hillhurst, Frankenbeans remembers taking the head bowling. Flabber draws a smiley face on a basketball and gives it to the horseman as a temporary head. The kids take him out to the bowling alley. Flabber, back at Hillhurst, sees Little Ghoul peeking around the doorway and surmises she knows something about all this. The crustaceans attack the kids. They Borg and defend the horsemen. They manage to drive off the crustaceans, then Flabber contacts the kids. He tells them that they found the horseman's head. It turns out Little Ghoul is bowling with the head in the basement. She doesn't want to give it back, so Drew uses his telekinesis to float it over to the horseman. His head is successfully reattached. He thanks everyone for getting him back his head. Flabber gives him some spare bolts of Frankenbeans to help keep his head on. This is a fun episode, and calls back to the early episodes with its focus on an iconic horror character. The Headless Horseman, as depicted here, is a bit different than his origin. The actual story of the Headless Horseman wasn't set in another country, it was an American story. The titular horseman was a soldier in the American Revolutionary War. His head was taken off by a cannon blast, and he haunted a bridge and would torment anyone who passed it, and try to steal their head. In Beetleborgs' story, he's just a friendly guy whose allergies make him sneeze his head off. The Headless Horseman is a classic story, but not very well known or popular today. As such, there's no common look associated with him, besides the lack of a head. There's the Tim Burton film Sleepy Hollow and the Disney film Ichabod Crane, probably the most famous iterations of the character in the present. His body here, I wonder if any inspiration was taken by Dicehead. The basketball he uses temporarily for a head attaches in a similar looking way to Dicehead's brain. Maybe this episode was originally intended to go in the first season, but was considered too similar to Dicehead? I appreciate the return to Beetleborgs' horror comedy roots. I'm hoping more Metallix episodes follow this. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.